Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AKAAWOL, and you might notice I've already got a jump on this one. But the good news is you don't have to worry too much. These two patterns are actually something I have that were over in the Easy playlist. And today I'm going to show you how we can take two easy patterns and we're going to join them. And that way it takes two things that were easy and makes it something that's kind of uniquely more difficult, or at least gives the appearance of being way more difficult. Now, what I've done here is, just like the last ones in this whole doubling up tutorial series, I have gone ahead and done more on this side here and more on this side here, but not done anything right here in the middle of these, right? So if you remember, that's how we were able to kind of join those two pieces together. This will be no different from that. I will have the link for how to make these loops, as well as how to make either of these two bracelets. Those will be down in the comments. And I would definitely say you probably need to kind of maybe practice them, or at least, be familiarized with the pattern before trying this. And then the next big trick is you have to choose which side is going to dominate the center bit here. Now, you could alternate, but that gets really, really difficult, and it's hard to keep track of like where you're at. So I definitely don't recommend that. I say it's far easier to pick one to dominate over the other. The other thing I would take into an account is if you were going to do a design that sort of has like diamonds, or where it makes the little 8s inside of it, or something of that nature. And I'll drop a picture in here somewhere, like probably over here somewhere, right? To kind of show you those ones. It can be a little bit confusing if the two sides are different. So on those ones, you maybe have like this one has the diamonds, maybe then this is the one that dominates. So in this particular case, it really wouldn't matter which of the two is going to do it, because you're going to give essentially one side is going to get one whole extra row, right? Since this one has a nice balance and the stripe is in the center, I think I'm actually going to, I was going to do it the other way, but I think I'm going to do it this way, right? So here's the trick. Since this one's going to make the extra row, we're going to do a figure 4, right? Let me kind of back this up, show you. So this is a figure 4 going this way, right? And then this gets pulled up through. And then it's going to be a backwards 4 to keep this string over to this side. Now, somebody recently pointed out the fact that you can't really see what my hands are doing as I'm tying my knots, and suggested that maybe I explain why that's a thing. So here's my explanation. The reason you can't see it is you should probably develop your style of how you want to hold your string. I think that that's pretty important, because I have seen people who can hold the work and somehow still tie knots. Now, that's why I got into a clipboard in the first place, was because there is no way I could do it. And if I were to try that, my hands, I would probably have carpal tunnel inside of the week. So you really have to try to do this in a way that's most comfortable to you. Now, since this one's already, flipped this string back, I'm just going to go ahead and continue this pattern down as I normally would. Nothing too crazy there. So essentially, this whole thing makes it, it's just two different patterns just joined. Now, okay, so if you're wondering like where this idea came from, or what was my inspiration, back in the day, back in like the late 80s, early 90s, I had about, oh my gosh, I want to say 8 bracelets that I was wearing at once. Oh wait, this is the red one's going to go over. So my big thing was they all jumbled up and end up all on top of each other, and it drove me insane. So I did some stitches to them to kind of get them so that way they would come up my arm more, right? Thought that was kind of cool. But then I realized that, you know what? I could give the illusion of many bracelets, but have them all completely joined all together as one thing. And I thought, wow, how cool would that be? And it turns out, yeah, it was pretty cool. And it tricked up a lot of people. Like, they really couldn't quite get what was kind of going on with it. They assumed that I just sewn them together somehow. And nope. I had actually gone to a whole lot of trouble to make it this sort of an illusion. So kind of got a little ahead of myself over here on this blue one. Let me kind of get this back into the right alignment. Now, I think on the original tutorial, I think I may have done the color sequencing of this blue a little bit different. I'll have to go back and double check that. But that doesn't matter too much. So you can see this is the stripe type one that we were talking about when I was making that green, lavender, and blue. This is a smaller stripe. So this actually kind of ties in to something else we were doing, which I think is kind of neat. All right, now let's see. What do we got? So now this red comes down over top of the previous reds. And I kind of like how they're both a fade. That's kind of fun. And I kind of like how there's such a stark contrast between these two different ones. So one side's rather fire and the other side's ice. Right? So I think that's kind of a cool look. All right, so now that red has gone over top of the blue and then bounced back. And essentially, that's all I'm going to keep doing for the whole rest of this bracelet. And you can see, right, I kind of, I kept tapering this off just so that way they would be able to join it. And eventually, that taper will be completely joined, and I'll go back to doing complete long rows. And it'll be just like the other video was. So that's kind of cool, I think. So there's 4 knots that come up here, right? And then this side has the 4 knots. And I can see that it's not the turn for this one to go this way because this, like right here, is coming out of the side there. It's kind of like how I determine like which one to pull from. So it's this one first. I just take that all the way out to the edge. I like these kind of patterns that don't require having to like look at a pattern. You shouldn't need to look at a paper. And if you're trying to get into that zone of relaxation and stuff, that's, I think, what is most essential to this. You need to find things that are easy, that you can just look at it and you can see that that's a thing. I mean, as this stripe here builds, I can see that, yeah, this wouldn't go an additional knot. This is exactly in line with the rest of those. So that makes that relatively simple. I can see that in this row over here, that this is the one that's all coming down this way, right? So that's simple enough. Everything's going to go right over top of this one. And once it gets all the way to where all those other ones are down, the red that I'm holding still is going to be the one that goes over top of the blue. right here, see? And then it comes back to the other direction. So, and then the blue just does the 4 knots again. So hopefully you guys will have gained something from this. And mind you, so I've put together 2 patterns. I took 2 simple, easy ones, and I'm joining them together. Let's say maybe I wanted to do 3 or 4. Could that still work? Of course. Absolutely. It would join up in the same mannerism. If you were doing it where the colors were the same, then you could potentially get away with fewer loops. Of course, if you were doing it with the same colors, it might all look like it was just all part of one pattern, you know, so that's kind of a cool look. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that there's a lot of possibilities here, and that exploring them again is absolutely, I can't, you know, I can't stress that enough. When you look at what kind of things that are fascinating to look at, the ones that are going to bring you the most joy, I think it's going to be the ones where you came up with an idea and you followed through with it, and you personalized it and you made it fun, you made it whatever. If you have like a group of, you know, 3 or 4 friends, and all of your guys' bracelets all share elements of, you know, the same sort of thing. I mean, imagine you have 4 friends, you join together 4 bracelets in maybe different even sequences that all represent each of you. How amazing would that be, you know? So, of course, if you're in school, they might think you're in a gang or something. So I don't know if that's, I don't want to get anybody in trouble here. I still think it'd be cool though. Okay, now I get to bring this orange all the way down. This is the one that's making the dominant line, so that's easy. Get down here, and again, we go figure 4, and then a backwards figure 4. So I was speaking about the carpal tunnel. Now, I've been meaning to do some research on this, but what I can tell you of it is the people who tend to get it have it because they're holding their hands too tight. It's the grip. So if you're a drummer and you hold your drumstick super hard, or you're a guitarist and you put your fingers in odd positions and you're holding the strings ever so tight, you're more inclined to get carpal tunnel than somebody who has a very relaxed grip. So that's what the physical therapists would tell, say, a drummer is, you know, hold on to the sticks, but just as loosely as you can. And I think the same thing kind of goes for us as bracelet makers. We have to learn how to do things comfortably and as simply as possible. And if your body starts to ache as a result of something you're doing, that's a warning sign. It's your body telling you, hey, you know, I'm not comfortable with this, you know, find another way. And you should really respect that. And that's why I often talk about, too, the whole need for a clipboard and the need to sit up straight. And if you have an easel, that's fantastic as well, because again, that's going to actually help with your posture. I can give you examples. I mean, the truck drivers are now advised to take their wallet out of their back pocket before sitting down, because they spent all kinds of money in research and tried to make the seats have more shock absorbers and more padding and all these things, because truck drivers almost always seem to have a bad back. And it turns out that just leaning off just a little bit all the time will do that to you. So, you know, we sometimes will contort or do something for a long period, because, you know, if you get into a good bracelet, it's easy to get lost as to how long you've been doing it. Heck, I have no idea how long this video is at the moment, because this is really enjoyable. So imagine, you know, if something like that can cause them pain, and it doesn't hurt at that moment. That's not the trouble. The problem is if you do it for a long duration, if you do it for a couple of years, you can cause a form of damage that will stay with you. And nobody needs that. If you look at offices, a lot of professionals and stuff now have more expensive chairs and more expensive designs with the intentions of trying to give the employees a better posture, because it leads to better productivity. And I mean, who wouldn't want to have better productivity when it comes to something like this? If that meant that, you know, you could kick out bracelets a bit faster, or maybe they come out a little bit neater or something, I mean, wouldn't you want that? So that's my suggestion to you. If you're still into pinning it to your pants or whatever it is, then, you know, you go rock that thing. But I will certainly advise that you consider what I'm telling you, at least. Just take it into a thought that, you know, maybe I might be right. I mean, I have been doing this for 30 plus years, so, and so I'm not only kind of speaking from experience. Back when I was 19, I did rupture a disc in my back. I lifted something that was way too heavy. And so I'm kind of subjective to getting my back out of place. And if I do it, I mean, it knocks me out. I can't walk. I'm completely ruined. So I have to take extra precaution, you know. So granted, you guys are probably young. You're probably in perfect health. But from somebody who knows that, you know, who is really sensitive to these things, let me just say, you know, you don't want that kind of trouble. You know, you don't want to wake up one day in your 40s or your 50s and thinking to yourself, oh, geez, what have I done? It's just not worth it. So as you can see, the pattern's really starting to move along, and it does appear to me, actually, I think this is exactly the same way I made the other one for the blue side. So these are just like the tutorials I did before. So that's fun. Of course, it's all different colors, and the joining thing is the big part of this one. But I didn't want to go like, well, I have to admit, I did think about doing it intermediate, right? But when I looked at what the kind of possibilities, what good patterns I could join together, I realized I could keep this easy, keep this as a beginner's tutorial, because I imagine there's a few beginners out there who would really like to have something that's got some wow factor. This is the kind of thing that you're going to put up on your Instagram, and people are going to be amazed and wow, you know. Of course, I'll probably have it on my Instagram first, so you might want to actually change the colors a bit. But other than that, I say rock it, have fun. All right, and then the last one bounces off the blue. Yeah, I have to say I really do enjoy this one. This is a lot of fun. I suspect this is going to be another one of my giveaways. If you're not familiar with this, I have Patreon now, and I have it set up to where my patrons can stand to win stuff. So if you want to help support the channel and help me kind of get the accessories and things that I need over here. I just spend a bunch of money on getting better sound equipment and just stuff that, you know, helps make the videos a bit better. I've spent hundreds of dollars so far. So if you guys could help out, that'd be awesome, because as it stands now, it'll probably take me about a year or so before I'll finally actually be monetized through YouTube. So as of right now, the only earnings are actually from the bracelets that I'm selling, and sales have been down a bit. So Patreon is a way that maybe we can kind of get things going, and you guys can win some stuff, as well as see my videos earlier. So I think there's some cool benefits there. So what are you guys thinking of this so far? The whole fire and ice thing. Is this something that you guys want to explore? Is this something that maybe you want to see this done with slightly more advanced bracelets? What is your thoughts? Leave me some comments. I know that maybe comments seem a little bit, I don't know, personal, or that everybody can read what you asked or whatever. Please, don't be afraid to ask, because, you know, if I have no idea what's going on, I have no idea what kind of videos to make. And that can be a problem for me. I mean, you know, I end up just making whatever I want to do, which might not be the kind of things you guys want to see. So let me know, please, please, please. So I do plan on trying to do a lot more beginners tutorials, because in my research before doing this, I thought I had a pretty good collection. Turns out not so much. Turns out that I really have kind of headed more towards intermediate and the advanced things. So that kind of opened my eyes a bit. So I plan on trying to do something about that. So can you see from here, one of the things that seems really obvious to me is that this side is wider than this side. And I know that kind of, you can, it's, to me, it really sticks out big. I don't know if that's true with everybody, if it's just I've been doing it so long that, you know, it's you know, stands out to me because of that, or if it is that obvious. But it is true, one side is in fact larger than the other. So and that would be something, if you were going to make this 3 or 4 wide, you might want to take that into consideration. Maybe this one's big, then small, and then a big one, and then small. Or maybe the ones on the outside are the bigger or the smaller of them. I mean, I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong. I'm just saying that it's something that you're going to probably have to think about. And at least if you thought about it, then, you know, if somebody says, hey, why is it like this? You have a reason, you know? You can, like for me, my reason for doing this side bigger than this one is this one here is just a pattern that runs long, where this one is 3 stripes, the center of them being slightly smaller than the outer 2. If I had made this one the extra knot, this side would have had 5, then it would have been 3 and 4, which, not wrong, but it might have set the tone of it, the overall structure of it, into being just a little peculiar. And, you know, doesn't need to be that way. So here we go. And now I can bring this yellow down. And this, you can see, now I'm kind of into the rhythm. These longer rows are starting to just be longer. And I got the blue set up now to where I just move across it. There isn't really much of a way of doing segment knotting on this. And that's okay. Kind of is moving along just fine, I think. Yeah, actually I have to say, I really quite like this one. Kind of halfway tempted keeping it for myself. But no, I think this is going to be one of the giveaways, this month's giveaway. So, unless of course something else cooler comes along. Heck, once we get to where YouTube is monetizing, then we can actually have YouTube giveaways as well. It's just postage and stuff that really deters me from it, as well as the cost of all of the string. I kinda, if you hadn't guessed, I go through a lot of string. As a matter of fact, I need to buy string here very soon, so always something. And now this one comes. Oh, I didn't mention what the string was. Okay, so this one is, each one of the bracelets is 6 colors, and there are 12 strands going up into the loop, so you end up with 12 strings coming down. Each one of those strings is 1/3 of a skein, and they're doubled up, so that way it gives it a nice thickness, goes a little bit faster, and I don't know, just gives it a certain look and feel that I really like in my bracelets personally. A lot of people like the thinner ones. That's fine. You're more than welcome to do it that way. I just happen to like having it doubled up. So now this is the row where they all go off to the left over top of the second one of the colors. So kind of the trick in doing something like this is making sure that you're keeping all of your knots a nice consistent tension. It's going to help make it nice and smooth and nice and straight. Normally I would keep pushing it up underneath the clip a little bit higher and higher, but that just doesn't look as good on camera, to be honest. So I'm doing my best to actually keep it just as I am right here. That's why I tend to do a lot of the stuff off camera. It's just I can go to my comfy place and crank up music and have it clipped up really nice and high so that it's nice and smooth and straight. So technically, here's a thing. Technically, if you look at the way that this is going together, there is a similarity between the way these are joined together and my sister's bag. My sister's bag would have been like basically 3 of these bracelets wide, and then there was a width of one of these that had the strap joined to it, and then 3 of them in the back. And there was the similarity of the fact that the designs, the patterns themselves were sort of mixed up in the way that this is. I had off to the sides something, not this one, but something similar to it. And then the middle was kind of way more chevron-like. Though the colors were a lot closer, the semblance of actually joining up different patterns was definitely what was going on with that. So if you're looking for other examples of where or how you might use this, I would say there's a great example right there. Heck, if you were to make a bag out of something like this and just, go super big and bring it around, it would be gorgeous. And it would look like you had basically sewn a lot of things together in order to make it. And I think that would be a lot of fun. And if you've hung around this far into the video, I gotta say thank you. It's kind of special that you guys actually hang out and stuff. So if you're still here, say hi in the comments, and I can see how many people actually do that. So I think that'll be fun. But no, thank you. It's nice to know that I'm not just making these things and not being heard, or that, people only watch a few minutes and are like, nope, got it, and move on. So, and if you don't need as much explanation, or you don't want that much, let me know that too, If you want a shorter video and maybe get to the point and then whatever, let me know. I'll take the hint, and we can see what we can do there. Maybe I'll make both kinds, because I have already had people say that they like these longer ones. So, okay, for now, I think, though, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and I will catch you as soon as I'm finished with it and show you what it looked like. So, all right, hang on. All right, I am done with this thing finally, and I've got the other ones alongside just to kind of show a little something here. I did mean to show in the last video that most of the patterns were going this way. The one that went like this came from this bag. Now, this bag, I hated this thing. You can see here, this would be like a one pattern coming down, and this is one going up. And if you just look at where the loop is, right? Just small, whatever. It made it last so much longer. It was so much more difficult. And the part that killed me the most was where these patterns, you know that you've completed a row pretty easily, because, you've gone through a cycle of the colors. On the other bag, it never really does that. You just keep kind of chugging through the colors until you get to length. So I just meant to say that before, and I had forgotten all about it. So if you follow along with all these things, then kudos to you, because now you get a chance of seeing that. Now, that out of the way, this is my finished. I love it. I absolutely think this is amazing. I'm really, really pleased with it. And you can tell, like even the back is pretty slick. You can see where it bounces. That's the only kind of differences on that one edge. But other than that, oh, and I made 4 tails. The thought process there was that with 2 loops, you'd want to have the tail to go through and tie, and then a tail to go through a tie. And I think that would be especially true. We were talking before about doing 3, 4, 5 of these things, because as it goes up your arm, obviously the width of your arm increases. So this would make it to contour to that really, really nice. But there we have it. I'm pretty pleased with it. I hope that you guys learned something. I hope you guys are excited about this. Next, I'm going to show you how this kind of thing can influence like when you create a pattern, like generating the pattern itself. And we're going to do something pretty amazing. It's Again, I'm going to use some easy patterns, but we're going to end up with something that's really, really, really something new. All right, so until next time, don't get your strings in a bunch.